on at like 6:10, and right out of the gate, we'll talk. Hey, it's Monday night, best night of the week. Wise Guys is back, and we welcome you. Dave McCann and Blaine Fowler. Blaine's on location in St. George, Utah, as we introduce the world's #1 BYU Sports Livestream show, and it grows and grows every week. Blaine, how you doing down south?
Doing good down here. It's I feel like we've had nothing but rain and cold up north. I think it warmed up while I've been gone this weekend, but we have 90s. And we've been sitting by the pool all day for Memorial Day. And it's just wonderful down here in St. George. The weather's been absolutely gorgeous all weekend long. So I hope everybody had a great weekend up north, too. So
it's been a spectacular day.
That's good. That's good. Hey, make sure you follow us on YouTube. We're going to put the link in the chat. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. We're also live on Facebook, Twitch, ysguys.com. That's the launching point for everything that you need. It will send you, if you subscribe at ysguys.com, make sure you follow us there as well. You get our weekly email with highlights from the show, all of our past interviews, including folks like Steve Young, Danny Ainge, Ty Detmer, Wally Joyner, Marie Osmond, Jimmer Fredette, Brandon Fugel. That was one of the most interesting interviews ever. Mm-hmm. Chase Roberts, Jake Retzlaff, and Gary Bohannon, the two quarterbacks dueling for that starting job this next fall. So yeah, make sure to follow us at ysguys.com and get that weekly email with all the highlights that will come to you.
Shout out on our live chat, Las Vegas in the house, Farmington, Utah, and we'll get that live chat up and going so that we can interact with you throughout the show. Basketball world mourning the loss of Bill Walton, who passed away today after a long and quiet battle with cancer. BYU assistant coach Chris Burgess in studio. We'll get his reaction coming up, plus the latest on the roster building that's underway for the Cougars. And we're going to do some football tonight.
Yeah, that's right. BYU football. Of course, Cody Epps is here to talk about the Cougars and the Cody Epps Invitational, a little golf tournament that Cody sponsors.
He's got his own golf tournament. He's in the business school, and he's doing a golf tournament. I think that's fantastic. Women's basketball newcomer Mariah Hudgens going to join us. She's still finishing up school at Santa Clara, and we'll find out why she chose to come play at BYU. That's coming up. And then next week, we got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we've got this guest we've been talking about since we started the show, and we've secured Andy Reid, the Kansas City Chiefs head coach. It's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think we recognize that. Andy will be on with us and spend some time with us. We'll get to reminisce with Andy and talk about, we may even ask him some questions about Taylor Swift. What do you think, Dave? Should we do that?
We have to. We're going to ask him about his kicker. There's been a lot of stuff going on the last couple of weeks. We're going to ask him anything. In fact, if you have a question you would like us to ask Andy Reid, send it to ysguys.com, and we'll try to make sure that we get it asked. So your chance to talk to Andy Reid on the Wise Guys next week and ask a question. Also, we've got a big announcement about Wise Guys' future. That is next Monday night as well. In the headlines today, the NCAA against the House settlement. BYU President Shane Reese, the Big 12, and then the other power conferences have voted to settle the antitrust cases, including House versus the NCAA. So in essence, Blaine, this means schools are agreeing to an eventual revenue sharing plan where they'll pay student athletes directly. And what that means is anyone's guess, but that's where it's going.
I don't know. Is this the start of, Dave, it being a little more controlled because it's in the university's hands? I'm really interested. We're going to have Chris Burgess on in just a couple minutes, and I want to get his opinion on that. I know you've been waiting to ask Chris about some of these pressing topics that are happening right now in basketball. Let's talk a little bit about BYU hoops while we're at it. Jackson Robinson has until Wednesday to decide whether to stay in the NBA draft or return to college. Whether that means BYU remains to be seen. Kentucky is another landing spot because of his relationship with Mark Pope and Cody Fugger. So we'll see what happens with Jackson Robinson. That all should kind of play out here in this next week.
24/7 Sports ranking the Cougars recruiting class at number 24. That's one spot ahead of Kansas. And there are more bodies coming. The class got a boost when Kevin Young added 4-star guard Elijah Crawford to the roster. He originally signed with Stanford out of high school, but after the coaching change in Palo Alto, he reopened his recruiting, and BYU got him. 6'2", ranked among the top 100 players coming out of high school by ESPN. There was Georgia, LSU, Stanford, Xavier, Boston College, a whole bunch of others trying to get him. BYU won him, and they had an assistant coach to help kind of get that done.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, BYU assistant coach Brandon Dunson recruited both Crawford and top 100 player Brody Kozlowski, who we had on the show when he was at Stanford. Now he's at BYU, and those are the first two high school targets the Cougars have signed. BYU also signed center Kiba Keita from the transfer portal. Keita played for assistant coach Chris Burgess the last 2 years at Utah. So these assistant coaches have gone to work, and I haven't seen, I don't know, have we ever seen BYU with a top 25 recruiting class in the past? I don't remember one.
I don't either. When you think of some of the greatest players that have come through, Jimmer had just one other scholarship offer, so he wouldn't have rocked the recruiting class. Right. Eric Mika and his group might have been, but not. I think they're in a different space, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and the caliber of player, and we haven't named names, because we're probably a little too closely affiliated with the program to start naming names of recruits that are on campus. But there have been some huge names on campus in the last several weekends on recruiting visits, very highly rated recruits out there. So it seems like this is the start of something. BYU maybe being able to if BYU has top 25 recruiting classes with this staff in place and the way we know they can coach and develop players, the sky's the limit for this program. It's really exciting. Let's
introduce our first guest. He's a familiar friend we got to know a few years ago as an assistant coach at BYU, and we're happy to see him back on Kevin Young's new staff. Our pleasure to welcome Chris Burgess to the Wise Guys. Not only is he the tallest assistant coach in college basketball, you're the tallest guest we've ever had here in studio, but fortunately you fit. I think you might have had to bend over to come in. Welcome.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. What a great setup, by the way.
How about this?
When I was asked to come on the show, it was like, do you want to do it Zoom or do you want to go in studio? I was like, man, I got to see what this studio is like. So I'm happy to I'm super grateful to be here.
We're so excited to have you here. We've been talking about it for a while. Let's start with the news of the day, with the passing of former NBA star, longtime college broadcaster Bill Walton. In your opinion, what impact did he have on the game?
Yeah, obviously his days at UCLA and the impact he had in the NBA. I think he won 2 championships, 6th man of the year with the Celtics. Most recently, one of the most peerless, commentators in college basketball, and being a part of the Pac-12 in the last year of the Pac-12, he called a number of games for us, and he's just so genuine and thorough in how he goes about his game notes. He usually when you call your head coach will put it on the assistants to kind of go over the scout or go over to each player. And so I get a call and I pick it up, right? And he's like, Mr. Chris Burgess, this is Bill Walton, right? And so I can't remember what game. Well, it was at UCLA, right? Okay. And so he's going over our whole team, like from the top 15 guys all the way to the walk-ons, right? And he wants to know, don't tell me anything about basketball. Tell me a story about them, right? I want to know about them. And like we're on the phone for probably an hour and 15 minutes, which was about my commute, right? From Lehigh up to the U. And I was just so impressed with, how thorough he was. So then we get to Pauley Pavilion at the shoot around game day, and he comes walking towards me, right? And he's got these notes. Like everyone now is everything's electronic. He has these notes, written out notes, and there's got to be this big of margins, right? And every single player, and he's like, and I was like, okay, which one's so-and-so, which one's so-and-so, which one's so-and-so. And then I'd point to him and he'd spit off the story that we had talked about the day before. So huge loss to the college basketball world, the NBA world, and just basketball in general. He touched so many lives. I was always super grateful and humbled every time he knew who I was, right? And the coaching staff.
When you were at Duke, he's been in the game for so long.
Yeah.
Do you have a Bill Walton moment of, hey, you're about the same size, look eye to eye to each other?
Yeah, the funniest thing for me was the same day. First of all, I'm very close to his kids, both Luke and Nate. Nate is the older brother, and then Luke, who played at Arizona in the NBA, has coached the NBA, and then Chris. And Chris Walton was at San Diego State when I played in the Mountain West. And so we're all Southern California guys. And so I grew up playing with or against Nate, Luke, and Chris for a long time. So I've known the family. And so the funny story for me and Bill was, we're at Pauley Pavilion, and there's a player that we did not talk about on the list. And so, Jackson Brenchley, who played at Utah, runs up to Bill Walton and is like, He's like, Jackson Brenchley, shakes his hand, and he goes off the story. And then one of our players goes up and like, hey, I'm Brandon. And he looks at it and he goes, Brandon, you did not make my list. And just kind of fist bumps him and moves on.
Bill Walton, he's the one guy I would, if I'm just flicking through the channels, no matter what the game was, I would stop just to hear some of his anecdotes, because he would always go so deep about the universities and backstories. I mean, he took it to a different level. He is absolutely going to be missed.
He will be.
Chris, I've been wanting to hear your opinion on this whole House versus the NCAA case. So when a player or a parent asks you now, moving forward, hey, what does this mean, Chris, as a coach, if he comes to BYU? What's this House versus NCAA, this proposed settlement? And not only what do you tell a parent or a kid, but in your opinion, what impact does this have on college sports moving forward?
I mean, there's just so many new rules and guardrails we're all trying to figure out. Thank goodness we have a compliance office that explains everything to us and gives us feedback of what we can and can't say, or what this is supposed to mean, or how this affects our sports or that sports. So this early on, it's something we're going to meet with compliance after the holiday here in Memorial Day, and we'll be able to kind of best gauge how to go about that. Yeah.
There's a paradigm shift, certainly, of paying players to play. And that's exactly where we're going. You played the game at the highest level. Have you been able to wrap your mind around that notion of a college kid getting paid to play?
Yes. When I got into this coaching profession, one of the advice I got was like, adapt to change. And I always kind of think of the many coaches that I played for, and the best ones were the ones that were adapting. So I look at this is where college is going. So we have to be able to adapt. There's no reason to complain about it or, whine about it or say, back in my day we did that, right? It doesn't matter. We have to adapt, right? Now, is there a group thread with some former players of ours that we talk about what we could have potentially made?
There has to be.
There is, and actually I'll run into, former Cougar Jackson Emery. He coaches my kid, my 12-year-old son. And Jackson, I'll be like, Jackson, you don't understand. If you had hit the transfer portal, do you know how much money you could, it's the same answer I would give. And just, you wouldn't trade your experiences you had for anything. Right. That's the way I guess us older players kind of look at it is just we wouldn't trade my experience with Coach K or Rick Majerus for any money in the world, just because they changed our DNA and kind of who we are as men today. But I go back to it's a different landscape, and so we're completely adapting as coaches, and we're going with the flow, and we're trying to learn on the fly. So it's been a fun time.
Chris, when you look at NIL and all of these things that we all wish we had when we played, right? And now with this new ruling where the schools can maybe have a little bit more control. I don't know. Maybe that's what it means in the long run. Maybe. Overall, is this paying the players and the universities being more involved? Is that good for college basketball in your mind, or is it bad for college basketball?
I think it's, hopefully it's going to be good for it, regardless if the university and the Power 5 conferences can pay their players now. I still think there's going to be an NIL collective on top of that, right? I think they're being two separate entities. But I think it can be good. I think it'd be good in terms of how, we educate our players, in terms of the opportunities they have and the networking possibilities that are through these contracts they potentially sign with the collective. I just think that, especially a place like BYU, the networking here is just second to none. And so if you can find someone that, is able to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness, and to build a relationship and build a networking, right? The potential money that you can get during your time here as a playing career is probably not going to be life-changing, but maybe that relationship you build right? And the knowledge you learn from it, maybe that's life-changing when this basketball stops bouncing, because it is going to stop. And so that's kind of the education factor that we need to help with our players moving forward.
BYU assistant basketball coach Chris Burgess on the Wise Guys tonight, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. Mark Comer of the Royal Blue Collective has been here a few times. And just last week, we were talking about the NIL and BYU, and in his opinion, BYU is right around the top 15 in the country in NIL support and strength. Are you seeing that?
I am 100% seeing that.
Really?
It's so fantastic to see the support. You know, I think especially when you step away for a couple of years and you understand how the brand that BYU is worldwide, right? And the support and the resources and how much people care, right? They just live and die a lot with BYU athletics. And it's so fun to come back, right? And to feel that embrace and love, support in the brand. Just finished Father and Sons camp, and you have all these people who they just love this university. And so we've seen that, right? We've seen that with the players we've been able to recruit, the players we've been able to sign, the players we've been able to keep, right? Yeah. Sometimes your best recruits are the ones you keep.
Exactly.
And so, and it has a lot to do with, I think, of course, this university, of course, the newness of Coach Young and his staff, but it also has to do with the collective, what you're talking about 100%.
You know, with the recent addition of four-star guard Elijah Crawford, everybody's excited about another signee that's way up there in terms of national rankings. I think, is it 4 scholarships that you guys still have that you can fill for this season?
Yeah.
Or
it is
are
4.
you down to 3? I think it's 4.
It's 4 right now. We're super positive that we're going to get this down to 2 or 3 in the next, hopefully 72 hours, but we're at 4 right now. But we're happy with the core that we have currently all in and committed, and we're excited kind of the next 4. We have to fill 4 though.
Yeah, and you're telling us we're going to hear something next 72, so that gets us all excited about that. Yeah. So I know you're also focusing a lot on 2025.
Yeah.
Next year's class. And we know you can't name names while you're recruiting, but how do you feel the process is going for, recruits a year out?
Yeah, I think it's great. We just actually finished, you're so focused on 2024, right? Into this whole off season that you tend to forget the 25 class and the 26 class and the 27 class. But, last weekend was the first AAU or grassroots live period where we could actually be out for 3 days. And you have the Adidas, EYBL, Nike, Under Armour event, and then there's a New Balance event. And so, we only had 4 coaches on staff, right? So all 4 of us are going out. So that was kind of the first time we'd actually kind of reconnected with those classes. And we got really excited about the 2025s and 2026 that we're trying to get, actually right now, trying to get some of these top kids on campus. So it's really exciting. We think we have a lot to sell, a lot to bring, and when we bring them on campus with what Coach Young is bringing to BYU, we're excited to get them here. Elijah
Crawford bought in. 6'4",
yeah,
or actually 6'2", but a 4-star guard coming in as a freshman, which you love to see.
We're super excited, and the one thing we talked about Elijah and we talked to Dallin too is what a better point guard to learn from too, and potentially play alongside as well is Dallin Hall, right? Yeah. He's such a point guard's dream, and so Elijah was super excited to kind of work next to him, learn from him, compete against him every single day. This kid's love and respect for Brandon Dunstan goes a long way to turn down or decommit from a place like Stanford. It's one of the most prestigious universities in all of colleges, right? All universities, and so for him to choose BYU, and we showed his family, according to the Wall Street Journal in 2024, how prestigious BYU was and where it ranked in terms of academics institution, and that went a long way. Brandon's relation went a long way, and then obviously what Coach Young's message and style of play went a long way.
I thought one of the biggest things was with Kiba Keita coming, 6'8" center who plays bigger than that. You were developing him up there. You came here, and then Blaine and I were like going, let's just see. And then all of a sudden he pops into the portal, and then BYU had to win him over because there were plenty of suitors. But now you have a center here, which probably the first time since Yoli Childs. I mean, how big of a deal is that?
We're so excited about him. First of all, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to continue coaching, being part of his career. Because, when I started coaching him a couple of years ago, he's just this, super raw piece of meat that's just learning, right? He was a volleyball player growing up. His brother's a professional volleyball player in Italy, and he's just this athletic specimen that's built like a Greek god, right? And he's such a listener. He's such a worker. And so for us to have the opportunity to coach him and him, for the BYU fans to be able to embrace him. They're going to love him. They're just going to love everything he does. And he's so good at what he does. He doesn't ever really get outside of his lane, but he is a lob threat every time down the court. He's a big time top 10 in the country in terms of, block rating, offense rebound rating. He does all that. And he has the ability to switch 1 through 5 at times. And, his concern, when we were talking to him, was just he didn't want to, him and Foose, he didn't want to step on Foose's toes because he looks up to Foose as such a mentor. And
they kind of came over together.
Yeah, they came over together. And so talking to Foose is like, Coach, you bring him to me and I'll make sure he understands that I'm dying to play with them, right? And so my message, to Cable was like, look, Cable, no matter where you sign, you're going to have competition at the 5 spot. You just are, right? No matter what. But what better place to do it than with your buddy from Mali who's dying to play with you? Right. And so when Foose expressed that to Kaba and Kaba got that message, Kaba was all in.
Do you see a situation where Foose, who was very effective coming off the bench last year, doing that again?
Yeah, I think everything's kind of on the table, whether Foose come off the bench or them playing together. I think that there's places, we were watching some film with Coach Young's offense, both in Philly and in Phoenix, playing 2 bigs. Right, and playing out of some horns action or some dunker spot action. And so there's things that we can do to find ways for them to be on the floor, because, one thing we've tried to really focus on, Coach Young's tried to focus on, is we want to dominate the offensive glass. And when you have a guy like Foose and Caba in there that are both top 15 in the country in offensive rebounding rate, that's the way you dominate the glass. And so we're going to try to find pockets of this game that we can play them out there together and go big, because we know, sometimes it's all about what you can guard, right? And we know Caba can guard 1 through 4. We just know he's a switchable player, and same with Foose. And so there's going to be times they're together. So, that's what's great about competition, and they're going to be able to push each other, and they're going to be able to, obviously embrace each other at the same time. But they're so excited to be together, and so I'm excited to kind of have both of them.
Oh, yeah. I would be too. Oop, Blaine, I can't hear you. We'll get DJ to fix that on the audio, but I think what he was going to ask.
Better?
There you are. Yeah, welcome back.
Oh, yeah, hey. I was just saying, Chris mentions that he's so raw with his talent, but everybody I talk to in basketball just says, oh man, like he's just scratching the surface. He's so skilled. He's so talented. Like the sky's the limit for this guy. Is there something in particular that you look at in his skill set, even though he's raw, that you go, oh yeah, this makes him unbelievably special?
Yeah, I think a number of things. I think the way that he runs the floor, and if you don't have a pass ahead like rim running dunk, he'll find his man and he seals you up for an over the top lob pass. I think he loves contact. There are not a lot of bigs out there that are seeking contact out. There are a lot of bigs out there that want to avoid contact. And Caba, when he steps on the floor, is seeking out contact. So I think he's a lob threat. Anytime he screens and rolls, he's a lob threat. I think another thing he can do that he's grown so much, right, with film and work and practice, is off the pick and roll, little pocket pass, like kind of what Luka Doncic is doing right now in the NBA Finals, where he's getting 2 to the ball, right? The little pocket pass, and now decision making, right? Does he have a score at the rim? Is there a double team to him? Can he kick out to the 3? And so that's the area where he's really, really grown, because, I think Dallin and some of these other guards that we have coming back are going to see different kind of coverages. And so Caba knows how to play out of all these different coverages. The one area he's getting better at, right, is now as the trigger man, kind of like how Ali Khalifa was in Coach Pope's offense, is the trigger man. We called it the trigger. Some people call it the connector, right, where you're hitting him at the 3-point line, and now he's the playmaker. And so I think that's where Caba is growing. He's got to get better. He's got to be able to make the reads, right, the back cuts, the slips. Are they switching? Are they chasing? Are they going under, right? And that's stuff that we're watching film with him every single day to try to get him to understand the coverages.
Visiting with BYU assistant basketball coach Chris Burgess here on the Wise Guys. Now, I want to ask you a question that you don't have to answer directly, because I don't even know if you can, but the internet's abuzz tonight because of this looking for some international foreign players to come. And I've read some things that look pretty credible about that. Without saying a name or any of that stuff, let's go back to those 72 hours. Do you feel this next couple of days Cougar Nation is going to feel pretty good?
There's a couple guys on our board that we feel pretty good about. You're never 100% confident until I guess the ink is on the paper or anything like that. But there are a couple kids that we've recently had on campus that we're chasing pretty hard, that we think fill big needs and holes in our roster. So we're excited about that. Yeah, hopefully some decisions and answers can be given to the Cougs.
Wouldn't it be so much easier to just talk about it? It's like you can't talk about it till it happens, but it's so much fun to talk about when it does happen because it means so much to the direction of the program.
It does. There's a lot of momentum. I think right now with BYU basketball and BYU athletics. And so, with Dallin and Richie saying they're back in and Coach Young obviously being hired and the staff he's putting together, and then Elijah jumping on board and Kaba jumping on board. And so you're trying to build up this momentum. And it's an exciting time. It's a big reason, why my family and I got super excited to come back here to Provo, is that we wanted to be a part of this. And again, right? And so, to answer your question, I always tell recruits, man, the best thing you can tell me is yes, and the second best thing you can tell me is no, because then I can move on, right? And so the worst thing you can do is not say anything. So those of you recruits, man, if you're listening, just say yes and no so we can move on. So, but we are excited. We're excited. No matter what happens over the next couple of weeks, we're so excited with the core we have coming in and the staff we have coming in and being a part of this culture. It's just really grateful.
Hey, Dave, he doesn't even need to tell me. Chris doesn't even need to tell me who it is. When he says we're going to have some news in the next 72 hours, I'm just pumped right now. Like, I'm actually excited about it. We're glad to have you on. Even if you can't name names, Chris, we're happy to have you on and tell us that something's on the horizon. Life's got a lot of twists and turns to it, right? You were at BYU with Mark and then went up to Utah.
Yeah.
I ran into you down in Vegas. You were down recruiting for Utah when I ran into you Vegas. That's just a couple of months ago. Now back in Provo with Kevin Young. In what ways, has going back and forth developed you and made you a better coach?
You know what? I think that 2 years ago when I made this decision, it was all about growth as a I always I feel like I've always had this goal to what's the best place for me to continue to grow. And, if I did take over a program today, right, where could I go do that? And so I thought I felt at the time the opportunity to go work for Craig Smith and go to a different program and listen to a different coach's voice, and then a coach to listen to my voice, right? A different coach to listen to my voice. And so, I think Craig Smith does a fantastic job up there, and they're continuing to build and grow. And, what he allowed me to do, game preparation wise, recruiting wise, and honestly practice wise has really helped me over the last 2 years, where I felt like if something happened or there was a head coaching, boom, Chris, you got to go be a head coach today. I feel like I'm more prepared now than I've ever been. And so it gave me a ton of confidence to come and be a part of another coach's staff, right? That, I've never worked for him before and, don't know him as well as, let's say, Coach Pope or Cody Feger or Craig Smith, but I'm so grateful to be a part of his staff, and I'm very confident that the coaches that have mentored me and tutored me up to this point have helped prepare me to come back where BYU is now in terms of a Big 12 team and making a lot of moves and trying to get back to the NCAA tournament and win some games.
You'd look so much nicer in blue. It just works. It just works with you, So
you're right about that. So it's not really a secret. I love the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I've had to wear a lot of my black Dodgers hats for the last couple of years.
That's
and so
that was the whole wardrobe.
Man, I finally was able to throw some Dodger blue back, and so some royal blue, and so it's just really exciting to be back. But I love blue, right? I love the color blue and I love the way it looks.
Hey, Chris, I'm interested in your conversations with Kevin. We've talked to several of the players who come on the show with us, and really an interesting perspective that Kevin gave them about what he thought they had in their game and what he thought that they could help them with, and he really painted a vision for them. In those conversations you have with Kevin, because let's face it, you are right on the verge of being a head coach,
right?
And we all know that. What convinced you in those conversations, or what did you talk about that you thought, I can go work with this guy, and this is going to be good for all of us?
You know what? That's a great question. So, Kevin Young, all he knows is the NBA, right? And I think the NBA is so forward thinking, and college basketball is always 2 or 3 years behind the NBA. And so now I give an opportunity. So when he was talking about the staff structure, all he knows is like being in draft boards, working draft workouts. He's been involved with 80 something games a year. So his sample size of his coaching resume built up from the G League to the NBA, working with Brett Brown and Frank Vogel, just that mindset that he's coming from the NBA. I was dying to be a part of it. I was dying to learn and be a part and just soak up as much knowledge as I could from someone like that. And at the same time felt like I could really help the transition to the college game, and not just any college, but the uniqueness of BYU, BYU's college game. And so it was a combination, but I kind of fell in love with my conversation, his directness, he's like a tactician, right? The tactical ways. And I was just like, man, this guy's been in every draft room, every draft workout. He speaks with the, Kevin Durant and Booker and CP3. Like when you can be around greatness, you absorb it. Right. And if I can learn from that, like, come on, man, like that I was like, I'm done. Where do I sign? I got to play a little cool here, but like, where do I sign? Right. And so that got me super excited. And it was just a combination that was at BYU, but that was a big deal to me.
All right. One more question. And then we got 5 quick ones for you and we'll get you out the door on this Memorial Day night. When you told Lisa that Kevin Young had called, your wife Lisa, what was her first reaction when BYU was back in as a possibility?
She was so excited.
Really?
My wife is one of the most supportive human beings in the world. She's lived in 30-some homes over the last 20 years of our marriage, and so she's willing to drop anything at any time and follow wherever basketball takes me.
Yeah.
She was actually very instrumental in terms of my sounding board and thought process of why I should go do this and why I need to go back to BYU and why it'll be so great for our family. She was all in. In fact, during the time where she was a sounding board, she was wearing a blue Nike hoodie, totally like a subconscious way about it. And
so she was she all in before you were all in?
Well, she was, but the only reason for me taking a little bit, it's just difficult conversations I had to have with, players in the other locker room and coaches and things like that. That was the only thing that was kind of holding me back, but she was all in. And then my boys, and so my 15, it gets blown up. Matt Norlander tweets it, and my daughter sends my wife an Instagram screenshot of BYU announcing it, and she's just like, what? So we had to pull over to the car and talk to the boys, and I FaceTime my 2 girls, one's at Oklahoma, one's at Kansas, and I'm FaceTiming them to let them know it's about to explode on the social medias, and so we let everyone know, and they were so excited. Yeah. They were so excited to be back. The way they were treated 2 years ago, and they felt so close to the BYU family. Anyway, they're so excited. They got rid of their red gear a little too quick. But
I was going to ask that. The red just went out.
The red went out really quick, and they like got in the car and we went to the bookstore right away so they can grab. We told them, hey, they can grab a couple shirts, and so. They show up to school the next day. Unfortunately, people had already kind of heard in their circles. So I was like, isn't it going to be weird? You're going to school and you're now on this side of the fence. And they're like, no, Dad, you don't understand. They're so excited. So
that's awesome.
They're all in. They're so excited to be back in the Marriott Center and to see games and be a part of this family again.
Great. All right, Blaine, 5 questions. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, if you hadn't been up with you the last 2 years, we'd have done this before because you would certainly have been on the show before now. So, but we're glad. You just answer these off the top of your head, the first thing that comes to your mind.
Do my best.
So here we go. Your favorite sports movie?
Hoosiers.
Classic.
Yeah, that's the second favorite of the show over 2 years. Number 1 is Remember the Time.
Oh, that was good. That would have been my second.
There you go. Your favorite singer or band?
Dave Matthews.
Dave Matthews.
Nice. I just was watching Adam Sandler movie and I forgot he was in it. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Your favorite breakfast cereal?
Life.
Like Cinnamon
Just
Life or
Plain
Straight
Life or
Life?
Cinnamon Life?
Plain Life.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Do you put
Nice.
anything on it or just get
No, just
you and life?
Yep, me and life.
That's taking life head on.
That's pretty healthy. I'm a little worried about you, but that's
I
cool.
apologize.
I just had Cinnamon Life before I came over to do the show. So there you go.
I might torpedo the next question, but let's ask it anyway.
Yeah, I know he may not even like it, but what's your favorite ice cream?
Ooh, Graham Canyon here at the Creamery on 9th.
Graham Canyon.
One of my favorites.
I've heard great things about it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
I have to try it. I haven't had it, but I've heard that's a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah.
So. Okay, and last but not least, your favorite basketball moment. It could be watching as a player, as a coach, your favorite basketball moment of all time.
Yeah, cutting down the nets, going to the Final Four. 1999, yep, with the Blue Devils. 1999, we beat Temple in, I should know this, Jersey. So the Meadowlands, I think Meadowlands.
What does it feel like to take the floor with a jersey on to go play in the Final Four?
It's unbelievable. I played at the Tropicana Dome, St. Pete's there in St. Petersburg, Florida, and you honestly felt like a tiny ant to the 60 or 70,000 fans running out there. It takes about 5 minutes to get from the locker room just to the court. But it is pretty surreal. You're in it. You're in the four.
Yeah.
Right. You're in the four, and there's no way to explain it. I think the more and more I look back at it and going back to the Final Four every year with my boys and being like, man, I've been there, done that. Right. Now I didn't win it, but I've been there, done that. So it's something I get to hold on to for the
How
rest
about
of my life.
taking these Cougs to the Final Four?
Let's do that, man.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I'd love to coach Final Four, man. That's why we're here.
Well, look, we wish you a happy next 72 hours and beyond.
Thank you.
As you continue to build the roster. Chris Burgess, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Yeah.
Before you know it, we'll be at the first practice.
Let's go. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in on this holiday. Chris Burgess. And so, Blaine, we're going to have to keep an eye on things these, next 72 hours.
I honestly,
plus.
because we've been kind of behind the scenes hearing some names and things. So for Chris to come on and say, hey, we're going to make some announcements. We've got those 4 open scholarships. Fill a couple of them here in the next 72 hours. Oh, man, that just gets me pumped.
Yeah, I think that was a fun conversation. Hey, let's do our Cougar Board question of the week. If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans, thousands of posts daily. This question comes from Acadian8, one of their insider subscribers, Blaine. When does the BYU basketball roster need to be complete in order for it to be in time for the team to develop the necessary chemistry to be successful? Remember, they don't have a European trip this year, which was so important to last year's group. So what do you think? We know the next couple of weeks they hope to fill the 4, at least down to 2. How much time do they have before they really need to start doing it?
Honestly, and I feel good about it. If they can fill the 4, great. And and Chris gave us the indication that's what they're trying to do. But and I know that they think this way. Kevin feels this way. Chris, they all feel this way, and that is, if they have 4 quality players that can come in, and if they're short term, if they only have a year or 2, they've got to be good enough to compete and add immediately. If they're not, you don't just bring them in to fill a roster spot, and then you can take a couple now with hopefully what they're going to announce here in the next 72 hours. You can take a couple that have multiple years, like Elijah Crawford has multiple years, right? Yeah. You can take those and you can develop those if these are guys with tremendous talent. So in the next 72 hours, I think I'm going to be good. I think I'm going to be fine with what they have with their core coming back. And then we can wait and see on the 2. If they don't have quality talent that they can get for 2024, I'm okay if they're 2 scholarships short. It sounds like they're not going to be, but I think that they've got enough on this roster now with a top 25 recruiting class already in their pocket, and they're going to add to that now, that they're going to be just fine. And this has been plenty of time to put it together.
Yeah. We've got our interest peaked, and there was a smile and glisten in his eye. I don't know if you could see the glisten in the eye down in St. George, but there was a glisten in his eye when he said, we got some things about to happen.
Well, and I like I'm not reading too far into it, but he goes, and what we're working on are things that we need to fill out the skill set we need to run this offense and to be good. So, they're very specifically recruiting with these 4 scholarships for specific roles they need on this team. I like that. I like that mentality, and I think we're going to be excited in the next 72 hours.
And we'd be lying if we didn't say we kind of know what they're talking about, but we're just gonna take it one day at a time. Let's do some football news. Cody Epps is going to join us here in a couple of minutes. Start times and TV details will be announced this Thursday, per ESPN, for the first 3 games. And
that's August 31st, Southern Illinois at BYU. September 6th, BYU at SMU. We know that's a Friday night game, but we'll find out the details and all of that. And then September 14th at Wyoming. We should all know by the end of the week. So
now, it's been an interesting time because things come out every day. Fox Network announced they're going to televise Friday night games in prime time, which I think is awesome. It's going to start September 13th with Arizona and Kansas State, which is a mega game. The Wildcats then come to Provo the following week. So that's a big 8-day stretch, 9-day stretch for Arizona, a newcomer in the league, to play Kansas State, who a lot of people think will win the league, and then they got to come to Provo.
Yeah, if you look at who's got what coming back, first of all, Arizona's got a bunch of talent coming back, right?
Yeah,
but
they
if you're
got a new
looking at
coach.
the teams that have been in the league, Kansas State and Oklahoma State both have an argument of who has the most veteran talent coming back in the league. So you would think that those two would be right there at the top of the list on contenders for the league title this next year. So yeah, that's quite a start for Arizona coming in. They have a bunch coming back, but they got a new coaching staff. Yeah. So there's the difference.
So BYU's not on any Fox Friday night games. As mentioned, they play SMU on Friday, September 6th, and Oklahoma State at home on November 18th. Those are expected to be ESPN games. We're going to know the first one on Thursday, and then we'll see what happens. But here's a sign of the times for you, Blaine. As part of the Fox Friday night games, USC is going to host Rutgers on October 25th. That's an 8 o'clock kick in Los Angeles. That's 11 p.m. on the East Coast. A college football game is going to start, and that's the new world we're in.
Yeah, I mean, is anybody going to watch that? I mean, maybe because it's USC.
Yeah.
But anybody else?
The 5 Rutgers fans, I don't know how many of those 5 are going to stay awake.
And here's what's crazy. That's a league game.
Yeah.
That's a league game.
That's so nuts.
How weird is that? And then another news, ESPN's partnered with TNT for the next 5 years to assist in coverage of this expanded college football playoff beginning this year.
I'm good with that.
So they're adding more teams.
I'm good with that.
ESPN's bringing TNT in to kind of cover all that.
As long as Charles Barkley's involved, I'm okay with that. TNT coming into college football.
I'll take Charles and Kenny and Shaq. They can do football for us because that's the most entertaining group in sports announcing, I think.
All that going on in just a quiet last week of May.
Exactly.
Excited to see what June's gonna bring. In recent weeks, we've asked his teammates as we introduce our next guest, who on the BYU football roster is the most likely to become president of the United States or a U.S. senator, and without hesitation, the answer was the same: Cody Epps. It's our pleasure to welcome the junior receiver to the Wise Guys. Hey, happy summer. Thanks for coming.
Yes. No, thank you guys for having me.
Why would those guys just automatically go, oh, that's Cody Epps? What do you got going on with this team?
I don't know. That's pretty dope. I think that's one of my favorite compliments that I've ever received.
Really?
Yes. And I don't even know if that's a compliment at this point in time, but I think that is pretty dope that my teammates did say that about me.
You're a fun-loving guy. What are the pillars that make you that way?
I think making sure that my teammates know that I care a lot about them and their well-being. And a lot of times we get caught in kind of the funk of our lives and what's going on in our lives, and trying to do my best to block out my personal struggles, and sometimes I could be going through stuff or anything like that. Block that out, and as soon as I hit the locker room, it's time to smile with the boys. It's time to bring everybody else together, and just knowing that everybody's going through something. So Coach Kalani talks about it all the time, like physical touch. Every time a dude does a rep, I try to give him a high five, try to just tap him on the shoulder. Just those things add up to where people know that you care about them and they can feel that. So I guess that's number one.
You made the unique decision to come to BYU, which is a unique place. How has your experience at BYU shaped who you are and enhanced those things that you just talked about?
I think maturation. I don't think it's nothing that there isn't anything that I can necessarily pinpoint that changed my perspective or allowed me to be who I am and how I am today. I think just growing and elevating and kind of embracing the culture rather than seeing it from a perspective of that's not what I'm a part of, but rather how can I be a part of that and kind of create my own swagger and bring my own energy to it. I think that's the kind of the only thing that I can, call on the top of my head, which is how I've had so much fun and enjoyed my time here at BYU.
Cody Epps on the Wise Guys, 65 career receptions, 765 yards, 6 touchdowns. What is the feeling like when you run out of the locker room, you got your helmet on, and you're ready to go play, and 62,000 are happy to see it?
It's amazing. It's a feeling that you can't recreate it at all. I don't think the only feeling that I feel like it may be close to it is I just watched Xander Schauffele make that putt the other day on tour. Yeah. I think that's probably the closest thing. That was pretty sweet. So I think that's probably the closest thing, or like watching Tiger highlights and when he drains a putt to win the tour. So tournament. So
yeah, that's something.
Cody, Dave and I, after watching spring ball, every time we talk, we start talking about this receiving core. We've had a couple of your teammates from the receiving core on the show with us. One that moved from wide receiver to tight end, and Keanu. But we're excited about the receiving core. There seems to be a buzz out there from the inside out. What do you think fans are going to notice is improved from this receiving core this fall?
Us gelling together. I think last year we had younger guys coming up. I was banged up a little at the start of the season. You have transfers coming in and Keelan and Darius. So the group was kind of meshing together and trying to make unity and bring that to the table. But that's kind of hard when you have so many moving parts. Yeah. But I think us being able to spend this entire offseason together, Keanu now moving to tight end, but he's still a part of our room. Keelan and Darius are fully acclimated into Utah on the team. Parker Kingston, JoJo Phillips, they're a part of the group, not as young guys anymore, but as considerably vets at this point, which is kind of crazy to think about. But just everybody being able to gel together, I think that will be something that the fans will definitely notice.
Glenn is in from the Philippines tonight. So let's see. Jan's from Mesa, Arizona. Phil from Cedar Park, Texas. As Cougar fans from all over the world back here on Wise Guys, listening and watching to Cody Epps. What is your job on the offense? What's your job?
That's so funny that you asked me that. I was literally driving. You know when you're driving home sometimes and you're aware of what you're doing, but you're kind of thinking and you're like, I don't even know how I got home. I was just thinking the whole time. Like, I don't even know where my mind was. I was literally thinking when I was driving home, like, I enjoy opening things up for our offense. I think I love the feeling of, big plays are amazing. Having great catches or touchdowns are pretty cool, but I love when we go into the film room and I have a block that sets up a big run for LJ, or I catch a route that gets us a first down. Then the next play, we throw a bomb down the field to Kibo. Like, doing those little things, or having a block, like a tough block going into that week, saying you're going to have to block this guy and it's going to be hard because he's an outside backer and he's going to come with it. And me being able to complete that job and then the run, bust outside, and we move the chains. Doing those little things to help everybody else push the ball down the field. And then when I get my cherries, I love it too. But just doing my job so when the film comes on, I'm a part of the big plays, but it's something that my teammates know, and the fans don't necessarily say, "Oh, that was the play that set everything up," you know. So doing those little things is kind of my job.
It's a good job to have.
Mm-hmm. You know, you and I were just talking about Keanu moving over to tight end. He came on the show and talked with us. Still gets to be in the same room. You guys are looking at the same stuff. Yeah. How do you feel about that transition? And by the time the season's over, what are we going to be saying about Keanu at tight end?
I think he's going to be doing a lot of what I just said about myself, like setting a lot of things up, because he's going to grab a bunch of attention. Like, we got to call it spade for spade. He's coming from receiver, so he's played the game at a high level at receiver. Right. You move him to tight end, where it's going to be a lot of mismatch problems. I think that he's going to bring a lot of attention to himself, which then will help open up the run, which then will help open up passing lanes on the outsides and in different areas, because at this point it's almost going to be 10 personnel if he's at tight end and we're in 11, because we have 3 receivers on the field and a dude that just made a transition from receiver to tight end. So yeah.
Well, he can handle blocking linebackers maybe a little bit easier than you. Free you up. Free you up over the middle of the field. Yeah. We had Jake Retzlaff on the show last week, and we had Gary Bohannon on a couple of months ago before spring. They're battling for the starting job. Is it good to have a battle for the starting job? Vegas kind of seems like, well, they don't know who the quarterback is, so we're going to only say they're going to win 4.5 games. Yeah. And expectation is down from the pundits. What about these two quarterbacks in August 31st?
You know, I think battling for something always it does two things. For the quarterback that's going to be announced the starter, it gives them a sense of confidence, because I've earned this. I've been working so hard to gain this, and I had to fight day in and day out to get this position. But also the guy who isn't necessarily named the starter, I think it also does something for him too, in a sense of, I still can be a starter. I was competing with the starter, but this is still my team as well. Like, I'm one play away from being on that field too.
Yeah.
And it just gives everybody a sense of comfort knowing that the competition is over. The coaches decided who's the starter, but we still got to win football games, so we still need everybody on our roster. And as you know, being in the Big 12, we need literally every single body. We need everyone on our roster to come and play each and every day and practice hard so that we can all elevate ourselves.
So when camp starts and the guys who you report on July 30th, what will you and the receivers be looking at to kind of get a sense of who's winning this job? One throws left and one throws right.
I don't even think we think like that necessarily. Yeah? I know I don't. Like, each and every day the reps are like splitting all over the place. Sometimes you're going with this guy, sometimes you're going with this guy, sometimes you're going with both. Like, it just kind of moves all around. I guess for us, though, it's just when that first snap starts, game day, the first game, that when that first snap hits, that's who you're rolling with. And until anything changes, then you're moving on to whoever's throwing the ball. But I think, honestly, it's not a big deal for me. It's just because I love both of them. They both can play at a very high level. I love all the quarterbacks on our roster. We got a bunch of guys that can play. Trace and Bourguet. We just got McKay.
New guys.
Yes, we got a bunch of guys that can play. So I think at the end of the day, when that adrenaline is running and then we get that first play off, that's who we're rolling with.
BYU receiver Cody Epps on the Wise Guys with us tonight. Cody, you graduated this spring.
Yes, sir.
You're starting your MBA this fall.
Yes, sir.
That's some big stuff. And I know you've been involved not just with your football, but in businesses. You're starting some businesses. You're doing all of this stuff. Part of all of that is the Cody Epps Invitational that's coming up.
Yes, sir.
On June 1st at Sleepy Ridge Golf Course, Utah County.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about how this came to be and what it's all about.
Yes, sir. So I have my partner. I have two partners. The main partner that I started this with, they started it. They're two brothers, Jared and Mahari. They started it. One's a jeweler. Jared's a jeweler. He's been a good buddy of mine for a long time. He said one day, like, we want to do golf ball markers on a necklace because he's a jeweler, obviously.
Yeah.
Me being a young entrepreneur that wants to get into stuff early so I can have on my resume, even if it means failing a couple times before something big hits. This is something that I think is a great idea. I have so much fun with it, but I basically sat down with him and said, man, I want to be a part of this so bad. It's right up my alley because I love jewelry and I love, looking cool and I like having swag. So definitely being able to do that on the golf course where golf is becoming a fad now. It's kind of losing the country club-esque feel, which I feel like is amazing, but it's moving in a different direction where a lot more people can play the game. Adding stuff like this is going to be very impactful in my eyes. So just asking them to be a part of it and then coming together and making it happen it's been amazing. So
June 1st at the Sleepy Ridge Golf Club. I believe we have a graphic. I'm not sure if we can show you or not. About your tournament, but it's the Cody Epps Invitational.
Yes, sir.
So you said, well, you can use my name,
yes,
and I get to be a part of this. What is it about golf that is your passion? What do you love about that game?
I love it so much. I think it's the best way as a football player to go do another activity and not risk injury or not risk having to jump and run and do a bunch of stuff that kind of gets me off my game or can have an impact on me being on the football field. I think that's super cool. And I just love being out there on the course. You can't blame anybody else but yourself.
Right.
Like your shots, what you do on that course is you versus that hole each and every way. And I just love it. It's beauty. It is beauty being on a golf course. It's amazing. Like the different courses you could play, the swag you could take out there, the different balls you could hit. It's amazing. So the golf tournament is June 1st. Can people still sign up? So we have, I just got off the phone with Jarrett today. I think we have 4 foursomes left. So if you want to sign up if you want to. They're going pretty fast. We got some heavy hitters playing in the tournament. We got Gipper Finau, a couple of the coaches on staff that are amazing, like Coach Fessy Sataki. We got Parker Kingston. He's one of the best golfers on the team. He's probably the best on the team.
Really?
He's playing in it. We got some heavy hitters coming out.
So on the live stream, you can see the graphic. On the podcast, just take our word for it. We're looking at the Cody Epps Golf Invitational. You got 5,000 sponsors on there. So getting support hasn't been a problem. Yeah. How much fun has this been?
This has been amazing. I think I've learned so much from being able to put this tournament on, because once I came on board as part owner of the company, we instantly sat down and said, how can we kind of change the game and get our name out there? And I said, let's do a golf tournament. I think that's the best way to bring people together, be able to network and get eyes on the brand. And taking all the things I learned from the business courses that I took in my undergrad at BYU, they came ready to go. Whether that was networking, whether that was cold calling, whether that was cold emailing, whether that was using your relationships and financing stuff. So all of those skills that I was able to learn, I'm doing those, and I'm fully embedded in that with Sunny Golf right now.
That's awesome.
I think you might be muted.
Jake Retzlaff came on the show last week, Cody, and he was telling us how much he loves golf. He's playing in the tournament Saturday, right?
Yes, he just called me 2 days ago and said he's playing.
Yeah, so he's gonna join. So this is a big question. You both sound passionate about the game. Who's better, you or Jake, at golf right now?
I defer to everybody right now. I defer to everybody. I'm working right now to get my game dialed in. I have a coach, Coach Rob McClam. Shout out to Coach Rob McClam. I have a swing coach down in Sleepy Ridge. I'm trying to dial a bunch of stuff in. But I will say one thing. Once everything is dialed in, and once I'm not a part of the NCAA no more, and I can bet, I'm taking everyone's money. That's all I will say. Once I get this dialed in, and once I don't have any restrictions on betting and stuff on the golf course.
You're going to clean house?
Yes, I'm cleaning house. I'm coming from everybody's pockets.
Cody, Dave and I made an offer to Jake that we'd take him out and host him and treat him to Riverside for coming on the show, Riverside Country Club. So we're going to send that same to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you want to hang with us, you can hang with us.
Number when you leave or mine.
Yes.
And we'll get you out there and we'll go play Riverside with you.
2 things I never turned down: free food and free golf.
There you go. That's smart.
Yes.
Listen, you're not taking our money.
No, not yet. Not yet.
You probably will be able to, but you're not going to. Cody Epps is on with us. You saw the Royal Blue Collective. They've been a part of your golf tournament as well. How significant has that collective been with your BYU experience?
Amazing. I think NIL is in a space right now where it's all about liquid cash. How much cash could I get, and what could I receive, and compensation and all that type of stuff, which is very understandable. If you play the game at a high level, if you bring goodness to your football team or basketball team or whatever sport you play, at this point, everyone should be compensated. But the reason I love the Royal Blue is because them partnering with me on Sunny Golf had nothing to do with cash or getting money. What could I go spend it on? Could I go buy some new clothes or a new car? Yeah. It was about helping me develop my brand and helping me develop a business that I'm trying to get off the ground right now. And I'm so indebted to the Royal Blue, men, Mark Comer, everybody that's a part of that. There's so many names that I could go down, but just them allowing me to step into this entrepreneurial space and allow me to have a head start with them backing me has been amazing. And I can't imagine doing it any other way. I can't imagine going to them and making that phone call to men like, hey, I would love for you guys to be a part of this. I think it would be mutually beneficial. And I know that I'm going to reap so many benefits from them partnering with me. I think that I couldn't ask for a better partnership.
When other athletes come and they take a look at BYU and they talk about the NIL and what's in it for them, do you get a chance to sit down and go, let me explain how it works here? And if you'll hear me out, you'll see that this NIL is as competitive, if not better, than anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely. After this golf tournament, I'll have a reference point to show everybody. When I sell this golf tournament out and all the sponsorship holes are taken up, I will have a reference point to say, hey, if you're going to come here to BYU, yes, you will make money to go spend it at the mall, the Orem Mall, where there's not even a lot of stuff to buy. Shout out to Mr. Max. I love that store. Yeah. But there's not really a lot to buy out here. There's nobody really to impress out here because everybody's working and everybody's focused on their goals. So it's not Hollywood, you know?
Right.
So I will definitely have a reference point to say the Royal Blue backed me on me trying to start my own brand and my own company, so I can better develop my life and better develop myself for my future self.
Yeah, that's a good sell, isn't it, Blaine?
I love it. I think it is. And we keep hearing over and over again from athletes that come on that it's just so much more than the money. The money's there, but it's so much more than that. It's the networking and all the things that are being learned from these great mentors. I love it.
Yes.
It's different.
Hey, one question we asked Jake, and we're going to ask you because it's been the last couple of weeks, is the 4.5 games that Vegas and a lot of the other pundits say is the ceiling for BYU here in the fall. Why is it 4.5? And what are they missing? And Blaine and I have talked about it a lot. They're missing something. What is it they're missing to come to that number? And how do the guys feel about it?
I've had like 10 people explain to me in the most simple terms, like they were explaining it to a 4-year-old, what the over and under and all of that stuff means, and I still don't know what's going on. So when you throw half games in, for me, I don't know if that's a tie. I don't know if we're supposed to win, and then after the game they say we lost. I don't know what a half-win game is. I have no clue about any over and unders in Vegas.
Sure.
All I'm focused on is having fun with my teammates, going out and winning as many games as possible so we can enjoy this football season.
And 4.5 feels right. It's like, how was there a 4.5? But that's just what Vegas does. But that feel, I mean, if the team's better than it was last year, you won 5 last year.
Yeah.
So do you feel slighted a little bit on whether they're going to be in the bottom 4 of the Big 12? It's like, why?
Like I said, man, I have zero clue. I think one thing that we're focused on this offseason, and our strength staff, Coach Phyllis was screaming for about 2 hours straight on Friday before our Friday finisher. We were running stadiums and stuff.
Yeah.
Chip on your shoulder. Everything that we do from now on is having a chip on your shoulder and using it not as external motivation, but as internal motivation, because we're the ones putting the chip on our shoulder. We're not allowing anyone else to do that for us. We want better and we want more for ourselves as a program, as a football team, and as an institution. So doing that for ourselves definitely is going to get us to win a lot of games.
Hey, Dallin Smith says, hey, off the record, who does Cody expect to win the QB job? Well, now that I asked that on the record, we're on the record.
Yes.
What do you have for Dallin on that?
Off the record, Dallin? I have no clue. I have much of a no as you, Dallin. Whoever wins it, game 1, you'll see, Dallin. I don't know.
You're talking to a businessman, Dallin. That's what you're hearing right there, because he wants the ball no matter who's playing quarterback. Yeah. So you got to be right down the middle. I think he's ready for 5 questions, Blaine. You got him?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. And I don't know if you got to hear Coach Burgess, but you answer these just right off the top of your head so folks get to know you a little bit better.
Deal.
And let's start with this. Your favorite sports movie?
That's hard. That's hard.
Come on, man. The rapid fire.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Remember the Titans.
There you go.
You sounded conciliatory
when you
on that.
hesitated, I thought you were going to say Bring It On, that cheerleading movie, but that's okay.
We've already had that.
It's a bunch of them that I don't know.
There's a lot of good sports movies.
There's a lot of them.
And people have brought new ones that were like, oh, yeah, we forgot about that one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
So
you're going with Titans.
But remember the Titans, that's the number one on this show that people have picked over the years. So, okay, next question. Your favorite singer or band?
Singer? I'm so sorry. This rapid fire, I have no rapid
it's okay.
in me right now.
Performing artist,
what were you listening to?
Yes.
Any musician that you love.
Can I pull my phone out real quick?
Yeah. What were you listening to on the drive over?
Yeah. What was it?
It was a young artist named Jace.
Jace?
Yes.
So he's got a last name? It's just Jace.
Just Jace.
Yeah. What's Jace? What?
He's like rap, but he does R&B too. Okay. It's like a kind of a mix of everything.
That's what you're going with, Jace?
Yeah, he's my favorite right now.
Okay. All right.
Well, okay. Number 3, your favorite breakfast cereal.
Oh, Life. Come on. There's only one answer.
That was Burgess's answer.
That was Burgess's.
Life.
Just straight Life?
Yes. I think he's a mature man. I think if anyone were to say Fruity Pebbles or Captain Crunch.
Don't go after the host.
Dave likes Captain Crunch.
sorry,
Cinnamon
I'm
one.
gonna go right. I'm gonna get a throw
I'm
stuff.
sorry.
I've asked you a bunch of nice questions.
I'm sorry. But Life is the cereal to me. I feel like it's simple. It gets to the point. It's not too much. It's just there.
Do you put,
So am I
put
okay?
stuff
Am
on
I
it?
okay, Cody? Am I okay with Cinnamon Life? I mean, I recognize Dave is
Yes.
like, that's nonsense. Captain
Yes.
Crunch, that'll cut the roof of your mouth faster than anything.
Yes.
But is Cinnamon Life okay with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to mix it up. I'm always original flavor, but sometimes you go into the store, you're like, hey, I want to try something new tomorrow morning. So, and then funny thing as well, I typically don't eat cereal for breakfast. Cereal is a snack to me. Eating a bowl of cereal is like midday, late at night. If you're watching a movie, a bowl of cereal.
Who told us that? Dennis Pitta? Does Dennis Pitta use that?
Yep.
Like at the end of the day,
Dennis
he'll
Pitta
polish
told us
off
that
a
too.
box?
Yep.
Something like that. All right.
I have to confess, you guys, I got down here. We went to the store and they didn't have Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries. They just had all berries and just Captain Crunch. So I took them over to the condo and I opened up the bags and I put them both in a bowl and mixed them all up and then put them back into the 2 boxes so that it's Captain Crunch with
couldn't
Crunch
be
Berries.
stopped.
Okay.
I had Captain Crunch for breakfast
Yes.
this morning.
Let me say this. Let me say this too, though. I would eat Captain Crunch over anything else if that was the last cereal that I like. If I couldn't have Life and it was Captain Crunch or any other cereal, I'm choosing Captain Crunch.
There you go. It's
right,
number
that's
2.
a nice save.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's that. The business sense is coming back
Yes.
with a late save.
I'm choosing Captain Crunch. I will say that.
Okay. All right.
It's
Next
a
question.
shaky way to get there, but we got there.
Yeah. Your favorite BYU moment, and keep in mind, doesn't have to be on the field. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be anything that you've had that's been a big moment for you while you've been at BYU.
Running stadiums. I think running stadiums and then looking at the field and then just envisioning making plays, and then that season making those plays in the stadium. I think that's probably my favorite moment ever at BYU.
Running stadiums, which is
We run. So the stadiums, the fans come and sit in at the games.
yes, thank you.
We run up those, walk back down.
All the stairs, then
All
walk
of
back.
them. Keep going.
The same stairs that Cosmos surfs through the rock. You run up.
Yes, and then do
Cody,
you know? Yes.
Coach Gavin Fowler and I, my son, that he and I have a tradition opening week every year since Gavin graduated, since he's been in coaching at BYU.
Mm-hmm.
He and I go run and we touch every single step in that entire stadium.
That's sweet.
Early in the week before the game. We haven't missed a year in the last 7 years.
That's sweet. That's super sweet.
And I love it. And I love it too, because when you finish it and you're up at the top on that last incline and you turn back and you look at that field and you think about what's going to happen that fall and you can see all over the valley from up there. It's a pretty special place, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so running stadiums, your favorite thing.
Yes.
All right, he's ready for number 5.
Okay, number 5, your favorite lesson that you've learned from the game of golf.
Oh. The thing is, you could go down a long road with this question. Number 1, your foursome matters. Your foursome matters. I equate golf to life because who you do life with matters. You're either going to have people that pick you up, people that bring you down. So when you have a great foursome, you could be doing terrible that day of golf. It doesn't even matter at that point. Then you just start doing scrambles. Then you just start making crazy shots because you're not thinking about the game. I think who you do golf with and who you do life with matters so much. So I think that's the number 1 lesson that I take from golf.
I love that. Hey, Dave, you and I are going to have to stop playing with the governor then, I guess.
Yeah, we need new friends. We've got to get new friends. Dan Forsman, the governor, those guys we hang out with. I think that's great. I love that golf. There was a great CBS sports analyst, Ken Venturi, years ago, and he said, never follow a bad shot with another bad shot, which is like the recipe for getting through life. Yeah. Never follow a bad decision with another bad decision.
Yes.
If you just fix it right there,
You don't have to.
you're back on the fairway.
Yep. Oh,
You know what? We were teasing about Governor Herbert and about Dan Forsman, PGA player. We play with those guys sometimes, and I have to say, they're great to play with because they're 2 of the most encouraging people. You hit a bad shot, they immediately pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
Governor Herbert will give you a governor's pardon if you hit a bad shot, and hit another one and doesn't charge you for it, right?
yeah.
And Dan is constantly telling you, how good your game is, even though you know it's not good. By the time you get done playing with Dan, you think you're good. So you're right. The foursome is important.
Yes.
The people you play with and the people you hang with, they can pick you up or they can knock you down. And it's sure good to be out on the golf course with people that pick you up. And the people Dave and I play with always pick us up. That's for sure.
That's and sometimes they pick up lunch, which is even better.
Yeah.
All right, Cody, one of our favorites with the BYU football team. We'll let you go back to the green room because we're going to tape an extra Q&A for the Cougar Board Insiders in just a bit. Thanks so much for being here.
No, thank you guys. I've loved this.
And, okay, where do folks need to go for more information on what you got going on and your golf tournament?
www.sonnygolfclub.com, SONNY golfclub.com. Scroll to the bottom. You'll see Cody Epps Invitational. Sign up.
Okay. The weather's going to be nice. Let's make that happen.
Yes.
Saturday, could you fit any more information as we look back at your at your thing? There's a couple spots missed, but hey, nice job. You know what? Taking a swing at your own golf tournament. Why not?
Yes. And also Texas Row House, par 3, hole-in-one, free stakes for a year.
Free stakes for a year?
Yes.
Hole-in-one on the par 3?
Yes.
Okay. That's motivation right there.
Yes.
Love it.
Nice job.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go to the green room.
Okay.
Thank you. Cody Epps. We look forward to seeing him. You know, I think that Arkansas game, what was his best moments? The Arkansas game or the Notre Dame game?
Oh, that's hard to pick. And here's the thing. Both against really, really high-level talent. You know what I mean? As high-level talent as you're going to see on the other side of the team, and that's when he shines.
Yeah.
I feel like that's Cody. I feel like he plays the best against the best, which is really fun.
Hey, let's talk about Defense Drinks for a moment before we bring on our next guest. Defense Drinks makes a pre-workout that's caffeine-free. Get the energy and performance boost without disturbing your sleep, having caffeine jitters, or a caffeine crash. Being caffeine-free and using clean ingredients means it can be safely used by you and NCAA athletes. Save 10% on your order at defensedrinks.com using the promo code Wise Guys. Next week, Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be on the show, and we're excited about that. Also, Duff Tittle, Brett Pine, they put together the book, 100 Years of BYU Football, which is commemorated this season, the 100th year, and they're going to be here, and a couple other guests as well. And we have a big announcement for the future of Wise Guys, so we're excited. I mean, next Monday is a big Monday for us.
Yeah, June's a huge month for us. You mentioned next week. First of all, Andy Reid, I'm so excited that Andy agreed to come on with us. The next week, June 10th, Carlos Iglesias, that's Kebakeda's guardian. We'll talk about how he made his way to BYU. Travis Hansen, BYU legend, is going to come on the show on the 10th. And then the 17th, we got a huge lineup as well, Dave.
Frazier Bullock, Mr. Olympics in the state of Utah, will be in studio. So will Jimmer Fredette as he gets ready to go over to Paris and take Jimmer Mania global, and they'll both be here in studio. Kevin Gilbride's going to join us later in the month. Dave Rice, the new head coach at Salt Lake Community College, of course, big part of Jimmer Mania. He's going to join us on July 8th. So is your friend Kelly Smith. Scored 2 touchdowns in that national championship game. 40 years. The anniversary of the national championship team. And then August, President Shane Reese and Utah President Taylor Randall right here in our studio.
That's so exciting to have them both in with us, which is fun. You ran into both of them in a thing that you were hosting, and they got talking about coming on the show together. Next thing you know, it's a done deal, and we're going to do it in August. We're so excited to have President Reese and President Randall on the show with us and coming into the studio that is in a non-disclosed location for safety search.
Yeah, we might need security.
Sakes.
We might need security that night.
That's right.
It's going to be awesome.
Might need it.
Hey, women's basketball has added 4 players from the transfer portal as Amber Whiting prepares for the Cougars' second season in the Big 12. 6'1" Kendra Gillespie from Arkansas State, 6' Kemery Martin from Cal, 6'2" Hattie Ogden from Buffalo, and 6' Mariah Hudgens from Santa Clara. It's our pleasure to welcome Mariah to the Wise Guys via Zoom tonight, because I think you're still in school at Santa Clara. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
How's that going?
It's been going good. So we have like about 2-3 more weeks here, but I don't have in-person finals, so I'm able to leave early. So I actually get to head to Provo on Saturday.
On Saturday. That's fantastic. So this is quite a group we just talked about. When are you all going to be in the gym together?
Yeah, so practices don't officially start till June 17th. So I'm super excited. Like within those 2 weeks I'm gonna be there. Prior to that though, we'll be running camps and lifting, probably playing open gym and stuff like that. So we'll get to be together quite a bit on the court prior to practice officially starting.
Mariah, you played against BYU a few times in your role at Santa Clara. Now you're joining up with them. Did you ever see that happening?
I did not see it happening, and honestly, either did any of my friends, family, former teammates and stuff like that. So I feel like it was just kind of luck of the draw, and entering the portal, you have no idea kind of where you're going to end up. I was very fortunate, to have BYU reach out to me when I entered the portal, and it now become home for me.
You grew up in Colorado, played 2 years for the Broncos there in Santa Clara, 7.6 points and 5.1 rebounds, shot 33% from the three-point line. So you come here with 2 years of eligibility, which we think is awesome. What is it that brought you together with BYU? I mean, they had to want you, but you had to want to come here to make this happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I entered the portal and I went home that exact day, back home for Colorado for my spring break. And just kind of talking with my family, kind of getting like a sense of, schools that have reached out and kind of where I want to look at. BYU was one of the first schools to reach out to me, and they were the first school that I talked to on the phone. So I was really excited about that opportunity. Obviously, like you said, having some experience playing with them, playing against them my freshman year. And I wasn't able to play against them this past year due to injury, but, obviously having to scout them, things like that. I was very familiar with them. I do have two friends on the team, Kaylee Woolston and Emma Calvert, I played with in club in high school. So it was nice having that connection. But I think just, obviously playing in the Big 12 is a big factor. Playing for a staff and a head coach that's really passionate for their job and passionate for making, kind of just paving the way for their young ladies. It was kind of a no-brainer for me when I went on my visit.
So if you have to fill out an application for playing time, let's say you gotta fill in the 3 lines. Describe what it is that you do and what you can bring to this basketball program that needs a pick-me-up after a tough season.
Yeah, I mean, as a 6-foot guard, I would say I pride myself on being very, very versatile. I'm able to play multiple positions, I'm able to guard multiple positions. So I think that kind of allows me to be on the court in many different assets and kind of help the team in whatever they need. I love to shoot the ball. Obviously, like you talked about, my 3-point percentage, I take pride in shooting the ball. I love to shoot it. And then I love to rebound. Obviously, I know there's big shoes to fill with Lauren Gustin leaving. Yeah. So I know, like, as a guard coming in, being able to bring that into the team as well is a big factor. And I'm excited to get on the court with the girls.
As Dave mentioned, you have to want to come to BYU, and BYU has to want you, and you have to think, hey, here's what I bring to the table. This is what I can do. But you're also probably thinking, hey, this is what Amber Whiting and this staff can do for me and help my game. What is that? What do you think Amber Whiting and her staff can do for your game?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure they're able to elevate my game. Here at Santa Clara, it was kind of a rough 2 years for me, just because I felt like I wasn't able to fully play to my full potential just because of our system and stuff like that. So I know having multiple conversations with the staff and obviously Coach Whiting, I feel like I can come to BYU and kind of be back into the player that I know I am. I'm able to do a lot and I'm able to bring a lot to the team and I want to help us win. So I know coming to BYU is the best place for me to be able to do those things. I think just wanting to build up my confidence again and come into a place where I know that my teammates believe in me, the fan base believes in me, my coaches believe in me, I think was a huge factor.
Mariah Hudgens on the Wise Guys tonight. She'll play for Amber Whiting and BYU this fall into the Big 12. From your perspective, now that you've traveled through the transfer portal, how do you feel about it? It's changing the game that you're in, and now you've moved through it. How do you feel about the transfer portal?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me that probably a year ago, I would have said I hated it. I just think I mean, even in high school, I even was like, talking to my parents. I was like, I never want to be a transfer kid. I want to go to a school. I want to find home. I want to create, a family there for 4 years, and that just be that. But after going through 2 years at Santa Clara, I think just realizing it wasn't the best fit for me. I ended up, having to enter the portal, and I think it's really grown on me. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. Obviously people transfer for different reasons. And I think it's hard finding the respect for people, for their reasons. Here at Santa Clara, we had, I think, 6 girls enter the portal, all for different reasons. But, I think it's just, you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And if NCAA is going to grant us this opportunity to be able to find a home and what's best for us, you got to take advantage of it.
Do you feel pressure? But do you feel pressure because now that you're through the portal, BYU's got you to help fix something? We have a need, and Mariah, you can fill that, as opposed to, hey, we signed you as a freshman and let's just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting to go into a situation where it's like, all right, I don't have to feel like I'm going in and I have to learn a lot. I feel like I'm going to come into BYU and I'm going to have experience of 2 years playing the WCC, coming off 2 really good seasons here. And it's, I'm going to have to come in and be a leader in a sense. And I think that's a challenge I'm really excited for. I'm no longer a baby. I'm not an underclassman. I'm now going to be a junior. So I think it's exciting. I'm excited to, kind of get to know all the new girls, how they play, how they like to be coached, how they like to be pushed by their teammates. And it's a challenge I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the whole transfer portal thing, because the rules have changed a bunch in the last couple of years. It's like unlimited free agency across the board in all sports now.
Yeah.
What do you think in the long term, the impact on college sports? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And not just women's basketball, but college sports in general.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a really hard question because everyone's going to have a different opinion on it. I know for myself, I think it's a good thing. But I'm speaking that from my experience. I just know, like I talked about, just wanting to find a better home. And I think, the transfer portal offers that offers that opportunity to, to kind of reevaluate what you want, where you want to be, who you want to play for, and who you want to play with. I mean, it's a very touchy subject, I feel like, and I feel like every year it becomes more new. But yeah.
Blaine,
I've always felt like, Mariah, that the coaches have always had unlimited free agency and athletes haven't. So I think it's just fair play now. The athletes can move about too, because coaches could do it at any time with no penalty. They never had to sit out if they went and coached someplace else. I've never felt like it was fair. So I'm just glad to see fairness across the board, right?
Yes, for sure.
And you get to come from that nice climate over there at Santa Clara to Provo, where we got the mountains and snow. You were in Colorado, but you've lived a lot of places. But were you in Colorado enough to get used to driving in the snow, or is that going to be a new thing?
Yes, yeah. So I moved to Colorado my sophomore year of high school. So like right when I was learning how to drive and things like that. So I was able to kind of get acclimated to the weather and the mountains and the heavy snow. So I am very excited to go back. I like, even my past 2 years here, like I've just been like, oh, I really miss like the mountains and like having snow and things like that. So I'm really excited to kind of be back in that. I feel like I am back at home.
Awesome. We got it all for you. Just waiting for you. In fact, there'll be snow still up there when you get here on Saturday.
Perfect.
Blaine, I think she's ready for 5 questions.
Yeah, and I'm going to say then we know now, Dave, that we can't lump her in when we go, oh, these California kids, when everybody's sliding off the road on the first snowstorm and getting in accidents.
No, she's got
Colorado. Know that Mariah's not part of that group because she's really not a California kid. She's a Colorado kid. So good. That's good to know. We won't throw you into that bucket. So, okay, 5 questions for you, Mariah, and you just answer these off the top of your head. It just helps us get to know you a little bit. And here we go with number 1, your favorite sports movie.
Gosh, favorite sports movie. I'm not a big movie watcher. But if I had to pick a sports movie, probably Space Jam, I would say.
Space Jam? We had a Space Jam, Dave? I don't know if we had a Space Jam.
Is that with Bugs Bunny? Space Jam?
Yeah.
It's with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny and
Yeah.
Sean Bradley from
All right.
BYU.
Space Jam it is. That is a first for us.
Charles Bart, like, yeah, that's a classic. I'm so glad you said that. So
Now, Mariah, I had the great pleasure of interviewing you on BYU Sports Nation a couple of weeks ago. I know your answer to this next one, so there will be a follow-up. Go ahead, Blaine.
yeah, here we go. Your favorite singer or band?
Diehard Taylor Swift fan. I have been a fan of her since 2008, so when I was little. So yeah, she is my go-to answer for that one.
So of all her songs, why don't you just pick your favorite and sing it for us? You ready?
Oh,
3,
see?
2, 1, go.
Oh my gosh, I cannot be put on the spot for singing.
You don't have to do that, Mariah.
You don't
Well,
have
tell us your
to,
favorite
but you
song of hers,
could.
though.
You could, though, couldn't you?
I mean, I will sing my heart out in the car, but on an interview, I don't think I have the guts to do
So
it.
what's your
Wait,
favorite
when-
song?
When Mariah gets here, Dave,
Yeah.
we're gonna bring her in studio.
She could sing
Once
in
she gets
studio.
here, gets established, I'm bringing the guitar in. I'll learn whatever Taylor song she wants me to learn, and she'll perform it live on the show.
Yeah, how about that?
And so I do have a piano at home, and I taught myself how to play some of her songs. So let's bring that too, and we can have a whole concert.
So
Let's
if we
do
bring
this.
the
Let's do
piano
this.
and the guitar, what's your favorite song of all her songs?
Gosh, favorite song. This is the hardest question you've asked. I'd have to say Daylight.
Daylight.
Yeah, it's the last song of her album Lover. I love that song.
Okay. All right.
Just so you know, Dave and I both agree she's unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
So did you get to see her live on this big tour she's on?
Yes, yeah. So I saw her here in Santa Clara this past, I want to say July. And then I have tickets to see her in Miami in October this year. So
Oh, amazing.
Right. So-
Amazing.
so-
My granddaughters that are down here with me in St. George this weekend were just telling me all about, they went to see her in Paris a few weeks ago.
it's
And
awesome.
they actually figured out it was cheaper to fly to Paris and go to Paris than it was to get tickets here.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, so they did the Paris thing, which is really cool. And they were telling Papa, that he called me, all about how amazing it was. So you're lucky, get to see her twice.
So
Yeah.
Mariah, well, I was going to ask you No, I'll ask you in a minute. Go ahead, Blaine.
Okay, next one, very important. Your favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh gosh. Okay. My favorite cereal of all time is Captain Crunch.
Thank you.
But right
Oh
now,
no!
Take that, Cody Epps.
right now though, I have been eating so much Fruity Pebbles. It's honestly insane.
Or Fruity Pebbles. You know, we need more athletes like you on campus. Cody's
So, Mariah,
overrated live
it's so
cereal.
bad.
The reason I said oh no is because that's Dave's favorite cereal is Captain Crunch.
I love
And
it.
I tell him
Breakfast
I
of
tell him I
champions.
can go for the Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries, but the plain Captain Crunch I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah,
So,
no, yeah. I definitely have to do the Crunch Berries.
Thank you
Hey,
very much for that.
Mariah, Cody Epps is still here in studio, and who, as you know, you heard him give the answer that's straight live for him, and then he
Yeah, not
kind
even
of
cinnamon
then he
one.
kind of knocked
Messed up.
Captain Crunch, and now you
That's
and I have
completely
since
messed up.
brought it back. So thank you.
And Mariah, have you ever had the they make the Rice Krispie treats out of Fruity Pebbles? Have you ever had those?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So my mom is an amazing cook. She's actually watching right now. So hi, Mom. But she
Is that Amber? Is that Amber? Yes,
Yes.
she's on the live stream. Great. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but she used to make those all the time for us as kids. And I think she had to stop probably because of me, because I would sneak into the kitchen and eat all of them. So she used to make them all the time. I love them, but I do miss them, Mom. So when you come on Saturday, if you want to bring those, that'd be awesome.
There you go, Mom. There's
Hey.
your job.
Since she's on here, let's talk about her for a minute, because everyone likes to be talked about when they're. This isn't talking about your mom behind her back because she's on the live stream.
This is right in front of her.
So what's her favorite dish that she makes for you?
Oh gosh.
What's your favorite dish that she makes for you?
That's a really hard question. She would probably answer this in the comments, knowing her. But she makes this really good dish. I don't know what it's called, but it has like a bunch of like vegetables and chicken and like rice. I don't know the name of it, Mom. So if you want to comment it, that'd be awesome. But
There you
it's
go.
so good. I miss it so much. I'm not a cook. I hate cooking just because I don't have the patience for it. So I do miss her home cooking.
Look, she's not holding anything back. She says she is so picky. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
I
then,
am.
and Mike on the live stream says your nickname on the court is the Beast. Is that
Yeah,
true?
so that is my my grandpa, and he calls me the Beast. He's
We got
the
the
best.
whole family on tonight. That's awesome.
I think they are all on, but yeah. So my grandpa, Papa Mike, is awesome. Before every game, he sends me like a paragraph and quotes, just kind of to keep me pumped up. And he always calls me the Beast. So I'm happy to see that he's commenting that.
That's awesome.
It's great to have the whole family with us.
Yeah.
That's great that they're on supporting you. Okay, number 4 is your favorite basketball moment.
Oh gosh, favorite basketball moment. I mean, I feel like a given. I've won 2 state titles. Won my freshman year in Georgia, and then my senior year in Colorado. So I feel like that would be probably an awesome moment for me. But I would say one more recent one this past year. So my whole family's from Oregon. They grew up huge Oregon Ducks fans. So Santa Clara, we played at the University of Oregon this past year in November. So my whole family came out, all cousins, uncles, grandparents, my immediate family from Colorado. Then they all came and we beat them by, I want to say 40. So that was an awesome moment for me. I played very well. So that was just super cool to play and beat the Ducks and in front of my family and be like, you know what, take that, y'all.
Take that. That's great.
That's pretty fun. Sounds like family is big part of your life, which is awesome. You're going to fit right in at BYU.
Yes, for sure.
So, and this last question, we were going to ask you your favorite piece of advice. I'm going to let you pick between from your mom or from your grandpa. Your favorite piece of advice either of those have ever given you.
Yeah. Let's see. No, I'm gonna give one for both if you don't mind. Just
Sure.
to give them both a shout out.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, my mom is probably the hardest worker I know. She's very academically driven. She works in the medical field. She's a nurse anesthetist. So I feel like she's always been the one to really push us in schoolwork. I wouldn't say there's like an exact quote or anything with her, like for advice or stuff like that, but I would say she's always pushed me to be my best and strive for the best and kind of not get caught up in what people think or say about me. So I'd say that that's something that's really stuck with me kind of throughout my life and as I've now navigating now living by myself. But then for my grandpa, obviously, he's like my biggest supporter with paragraphs and texts and sending me quotes. I'm actually going to pull up right now probably one of my favorite quotes that he sent me, if you don't mind.
We don't mind at all. Blaine and I are both grandparents. Actually, I know it's crazy because we both sound so young and look so young on a Zoom. But grandkids are the best, and we love it when our granddaughters read our quotes, listen to us, eat our treats. Yeah,
it's the best. I'll read you this one right here. So I'm going to read you the whole text, but it says, good morning, sweetie. Big game day, and Papa has 8 powerful quotes for you for the day. Number 1, believe in yourself, believe you can, and believe you will. Number 2, stay strong, dream, believe, achieve. Number 3, never give up. A little progress each day adds up to big results. Number 4, be grateful. A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. Number 5, work hard. Good things come to those who hustle. Number 6, stay humble. Work hard in silence. Let success make the noise. Number 7, be kind. Kindness makes you the most beautiful. Number 8, keep smiling. Because of your smile, you make life more beautiful. Now that you've got all that down, go out and be the beast. Play tough, play smart, and have some fun shooting hoops. Go Broncos, and we love you. But now we have to change that and say Cougs.
Go Cougs. I think he's going to.
That's awesome.
Hey, breaking news. Your mother has struck right back and said, the ball will stop bouncing, so find your passion afterwards. How do you forget this, M? Question mark, LOL, and get a job. Hey, would you please call your mother? We can't facilitate all of your family business here on the Wise Guys.
Hey,
so if you
but
just
Mariah,
call your
does your mom call you M?
Yes, yeah. So my whole family, all throughout my life, has just called me M. I mean, I feel like Mariah is kind of hard to say on the court, and also like I've grown up with like my name being spelled wrong and said wrong for so long, so it's like, all right, like I'm just M, or also Raya. They do call me as well.
Hey,
nice.
While we got you together, did you ever thank your mother for spelling Mariah Marya?
We've had so many conversations about this. And I'm very grateful. I am the oldest of four, and all of us have very different or more interesting spelling names. So I do appreciate that, but oh my gosh, I hate going into the classroom and they're like Maria, Myra, and like I got to a point where I was just like, that's me. Like I'm not even gonna correct them anymore.
Hey,
just so for the record, Dave and I never questioned it. We read it. We knew it was Mariah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Here's what I was going to ask you earlier, because Andy Reid's going to join our show next week from the Kansas City Chiefs. And, we had the whole Taylor Swift thing. And we're asking our live streamers, and we will throughout the week, if you have a question for us to ask Andy Reid, to send it to us. Do you have a question you'd like us to ask Coach Reid about Taylor Swift and the Chiefs?
Oh my gosh. This is like, okay. Let me think. A question asked about Taylor Swift. I would want to, it's probably not worded as well as I would want it to be. But I would want to ask kind of like how he feels, like the fan base that Taylor Swift has brought to football, kind of the effect that that's had on Kansas City and kind of how he feels about it in a sense.
Now, so you're from Colorado. They have Broncos over there, but did you become a Chiefs fan as Taylor Swift became a Chiefs fan?
Of course I did. But so I'm not a big football NFL fan. Like I honestly could care less. I just kind of watch it just because it's sports. But once I saw her at the Chiefs game, I said, all right, I got to hold myself back from buying a Travis Kelce jersey.
All right. So how he feels the Swift fans impacted the Chiefs season.
Yeah. And honestly, NFL as a whole, because I feel
NFL.
like there's been I've personally seen a lot on the Taylor Swift side, just like all of a sudden there's just so many younger girls now watching football with their dads simply because of Taylor Swift and, her now being at the games and things like that. So I just kind of would want to ask kind of how he feels that impact is made on the NFL and of course the Chiefs in particular.
Okay. We are going to ask that question. You have our word. Are you okay with Taylor Swift, Cody?
Say it again.
He's Cody Epps saying he's sad that Taylor said she didn't really care about football. Is that right? Yeah.
No. Uh-huh.
Oh, that Mariah didn't care about football until Taylor Swift?
I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah.
You're going to meet Cody, Mariah.
Cody's not that happy with your football fandom.
So he wants you to care. He wants you to care.
he wants you at the first game on August 31st against Southern Illinois.
Of course.
And when you come back in here, I think he'll commit to come in and singing a Taylor Swift song. We'll have the four of us singing. And so, man, we'll be able to sell that. That'll be awesome. Hey,
and by the way, Mariah, you'll find that this group of football players and basketball players at BYU, they really support the women's sports at BYU. And you will see those guys. Cody will be out there. They'll come to your games, and they're very supportive.
And honestly, that's a huge factor. I'm really glad you brought that up. It was a big factor of why I chose BYU. Obviously no hate to Santa Clara. I've loved it here, but we just don't have that fan base or that community of where other teams are going to watch each other play. So I think it's really awesome, the fact, we will have thousands of fans, but also there's going to be other athletes and, students there at our games. So it's awesome. It's
going to be cool. And by the way, Letty has joined the live stream. Mariah, me and Agent are listening.
Oh, so that is my dad's parents. Letty is his mom. But when I was going through the recruiting process, my Grandpa Jack, he was my agent. So anytime I had to call or letters or things like that, it all went through him. So I committed on my visit to BYU. And he was my first call, just kind of telling him, hey, I'm about to commit at dinner tonight. Here's why. Here's what we think. How do you feel? And he's been my biggest supporter throughout the recruiting process, which is awesome.
Hey, we're so excited to have you come to BYU and glad that you're coming on Saturday. And we get to call a lot of the games on ESPN Plus, and so you'll see a lot of Blaine and myself through these next 2 years and beyond. Because once you come to BYU is part of you for the rest of your life and for your family. And we're happy to meet a bunch of them here on the live stream. Finish up, pack up that apartment, and have a safe trip over. And we look forward to seeing you this summer.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for having me on.
You got it.
Can't wait to sing that song with you, Mariah. Don't forget about it.
I'll see you there.
You get to pick the song, but pick an easy one.
Oh gosh. Okay. Perfect.
All right. Mariah Hudgens with us on the Wise Guys from Santa Clara, finishing up school there and then heading to BYU. We'll get here on Saturday and then start working out with the team here in a couple of weeks and all of that stuff. Thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
How about that, Blaine?
Pretty awesome. I'll tell you what, and what she's going to find out is not only will BYU welcome her as part of the family, they'll welcome her whole family as part of the family. That's just how it works at BYU.
Yeah. I'll tell you, we're going to meet the other newcomers for the basketball team, and a lot of great personalities. It's going to be, it's always fun, and it's going to be great to get to know these new student athletes. So that was great. By the way, the current student athletes on the track and field squad are getting ready for a run at the national championship. We got a couple of notes as we head down the home stretch here on the Wise Guys on this Monday. The podcast will be up tomorrow. Andy Reid will be with us, and we are going to ask that question from Mariah to Coach Reid, and I think we'll get a great answer. And for those folks on the live stream, or that are listening on the podcast, if you want us to ask Andy Reid a question, send it to us at ysguys.com. And we'll try to get them all. We'll have about a half hour with him. We can ask a bunch of questions, right?
Right. Yeah.
From our audience, and who wouldn't want to ask Andy Reid a question these days? He is it when it comes to national football and Super Bowls, and one of the most loyal Cougars of all time. And so that's next week. All right, Blaine, track and field, the NCAA championships, June 5th through the 8th in Eugene, Oregon. The men qualifiers, let's read them.
Yeah, Dallin Church has qualified in the discus. Sebastian Fernandez in the 800 meters. I think that's the hardest race there is. James Corrigan in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Wyatt Houghton in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. BYU's just renowned for just putting out world-class steeplechasers. Aiden Troutner in the 5,000 meters. Eliz Hazlitt, Abraham Schapp, Jace Jensen, Trey Jackson in the 4x4 relay. Cameron Bates in javelin, and Danny Bryant in the shot put. All our men's qualifiers for the NCAA championships, the 5th through the 8th.
Women's qualifiers, Gretchen Hawkstree, the discus, Sierra Tidwell Alphin, the high jump, Riley Chamberlain, the 1,500 meter, Taylor Lovell, the 3,000 meter steeplechase, Jaslyn Gardner, the 100 meter, and Sadie Sargent, the 5,000 meter. And by the way, Macy Taylor, who was with us last week, and you can see her interview at ysguys.com. We got a lot of people watching that interview because she's fascinating. She competes on the track team, and she's also in charge of marketing the track team for the Sports Information Office. So she went and did the high jump at the prelims, finished tied for 19th. Her jump was 5.9 1/4. The winning jump was 6.5. And she also wrote up all the post-event articles for BYUCougars.com, where you can go and read up on the squad. But she was a fascinating interview, and what a weekend.
Yeah, and remember, her main event is heptathlon, and she just happened to qualify at height. That's just one of many things she does on the track team, and she's just going to continue to get better. But we learned the difference between the heptathlon and the pentathlon. I can't even remember, indoors and outdoors. But heptathlon is her thing that she's going to qualify for next year in the NCAAs.
Hey, Amber Hudgens, the mother of Mariah, signing off, saying, thank you, Wise Guys. Excited to have her get there as she comes to BYU. And that was a great interview with her. On this day, May 27th, in 1850, if you're new to the show, we like to finish the show with what was significant about this day. And it's amazing how many things go on certain days. And this one, in 1850, the Nauvoo Temple in Nauvoo, Illinois, destroyed by a tornado. It had caught fire years before, and the tornado finished it off. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which owns and operates BYU, announced in 1999 that it would be rebuilt, and it was, and it stands watch over Nauvoo today. We've been there, been inside. It's spectacular. But on this day in 1850, a tornado came and finished it off.
Yeah, and did your mom not serve in the Nauvoo Temple Visitor Center?
She served in Nauvoo twice on missions as the facilities director. So we were all over the city. Had a key to the city.
Yeah, so the Nauvoo City and Nauvoo Temple are near and dear to the McCann family because their mom's done such great service there.
And so many folks have come through, but I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that a tornado had come and finished off the original.
Yeah. Let's skip up to 1930. Richard Drew invents masking tape. What would I do with a paint job without masking tape? Thank you, Richard Drew.
Where would the world be without masking tape?
Yeah, gotta have masking tape.
1930, also in 1930, on this day, the Chrysler Building opens in New York City, and at the time was the tallest man-made structure.
That's right. Now it's just fits into the skyline nicely in New York City. It's still there and a great landmark. 1933, Disney releases the short film called The Three Little Pigs.
How about that? Who hasn't been told the story of the Three Little Pigs?
Everybody knows the Three Little Pigs.
1971, on this day, John Lennon records Imagine, which is, I think, my favorite song that he...
That might be my favorite of the Beatles of all time, too. Well, it's John Lennon, but it's the Beatles, right?
Yeah.
1993, Dale Murphy retires from baseball with 398 career home runs.
Still waiting to get in the Hall of Fame where he rightfully belongs.
Yes.
On this day in 2022... Top Gun Maverick premieres in theaters 36 years after Top Gun. And we watched that last night.
Two of my favorite movies of all time, both of them.
That's a classic. May 27th, birthdays.
Now let's start in 1837 with Wild Bill Hickok.
If your name's Wild Bill Hickok, you deserve in 2024 to have your birthday announced.
Wild Bill, yep.
1911, Hubert Humphrey.
In 1912, Sam Snead, 7-time major champion on the PGA Tour.
1923, Henry Kissinger. And in 2024, on this day, Bill Walton. And we opened the show with Chris Burgess.
Add him to that list.
Talking about Bill Walton. You can catch that at ysguys.com. I thought that was great. Some great insight from Coach Burgess on the great Bill Walton. Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week comes from John Lennon.
My mom used to quote this one all the time. Life is what happens while you are busy making other plans.
Do you think your mother said that first and he plagiarized it?
No, I think she heard it from him, but she bought into it. And that's, she's like, you can spend all your time making, but life comes at you and you got to enjoy the moment and you got to go with it. And so life happens while you're busy making other plans. So, she loved that quote.
Here's a Memorial Day shout out to the late, great Von Kimball. Targeted as BYU starting quarterback in 1941. He passed on college to join the Navy. Just before the 1942 BYU-Utah football game, he sent the team a telegram saying in part beating the Utes would, quote, aid the morale of the 25,000 alumni and aid the war effort. So give them hell, Brigham, give them hell, close quote. BYU went out and defeated Utah for the first time in program history. Kimball died in 1945, forever be memorialized as the man who inspired BYU's first win over Utah, as he and everyone else who's died in the service of the country is honored today on Memorial Day. How about that?
We absolutely, we express our gratitude for all the men and women who've lost their lives while serving in the United States military. We thank you.
Next week, Kansas City head coach Andy Reid. We're already getting some questions on the live stream. I hope we have 1,000 questions. We won't be able to ask him 1,000, but it'll be fun.
We'll sort through. We'll ask him the best ones.
Duff Tittle and Brett Pine are going to be here to show off their brand new book from Deseret Book called 100 Years of BYU Football, and a couple other guests we'll have next week. Podcast from tonight's show is available tomorrow or wherever you get your podcasts. Are you coming back from St. George, Utah? Or are you just going to stay down there?
No, we're heading back in the morning. We just we had the place until tomorrow, and it's no fun battling this traffic coming back on a Monday night and Memorial Day weekend, bumper to bumper. Instead of 3 hours, it's 5 hours, and more time with the family. And my grandkids call me Papa, just like Mariah's. So when you have a chance to have with all the people that call you Papa, you stay.
That's a good thing to be called.
Yep.
All right. Well, safe travels back. I'll see you when you get back here. Maybe we'll play some golf. Maybe Cody can free up his schedule. And he's got a tournament on Saturday, so I don't know. He's going to be kind of busy this week. But great to have Cody Epps with us. And you'll see some more of Cody over on Cougar Board in a Q&A for the insiders that we'll do. But for you and me, we're back next week with Andy Reid and company. So thank you, everybody.
See you all next week.
All right. Take care. See ya.